Two, one, and we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of CampusCare EdTalks, a platform where stalwarts of education come on board and discuss their viewpoints on curbing topics related to education. With an experience of more than two decades, Entab has been associated with more than 1,500 schools across India, evolving them to become new age digital campuses by providing them matured and futuristic ERP, CRM, and mobile apps. But that's not why we are here today. We are here to discuss about data driven educational framework, how data management in schools has transformed over the years, and especially during the pandemic, we've seen that there is a rapid acceptance of technology from the educational institutions. From our leaders in the panel today, we will learn about how data is useful for teachers as well as school management in planning and execution of various tasks. So let's begin by introducing them. So our first educator is currently the guiding force behind Apeejay School Pitampura. She strongly believes in collaboration and encourages the staff and students to create and innovate. Under her able leadership, there has been effective implementation of PET program and various other projects have been undertaken to get the school Green School Award, ISR Award 2018. Welcome and put your hands together for Miss Veena Goyal, ma'am, the principal of Apeejay School Pitampura. Welcome on board, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next educator that we have is Miss Nisha Sharma, ma'am, who's currently the principal of Ryan International School, Faridabad. For her contribution in the field of education for more than 2 decades now, she has received the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Award conferred by Avantika in the year 2018 and 2019, the Exemplary Educators Award by Ansel University, the Guru Drona Award by SRM University, and much more accolades under her belt. She believes in promoting the academic, emotional, and social well being of everyone around her. Honored to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
so let's begin with our webinar for today because this is a very exciting one, and personally, I'm very excited about because it's going to talk about data. So, Veena, ma'am, my viewers would love to know. Let's begin by you. That how does a data-driven education framework impact the efficiency of a classroom space?
See, students' learning performance to a substantial degree is context specific and also depends so much on learning environment. So it has a wide range of application spectrum that helps the school leader form a perspective plan on how the school system has to flow, the curriculum has to flow, how the learning has to happen. So I believe the data comes in very handy to make things happen, to plan for the future, to know where what is missing, to know the strength of the school, to know the strength of the students, to know the weak areas and plug the gap. So it is very handy tool to make the atmosphere of the school worth and a really holistic and have a uniform growth curve for our children.
Right. Ma'am, Nisha ma'am, Veena ma'am brought out a very important point. When we talk about data, she said that, it enables us to do basically predictive modeling or predictions. It can help us prepare for the future. However, I'm pretty sure nobody could have prepared us for Corona, such type of future. But do you concur with the same, or do you have some different point of view?
Well, Himanshu, I really agree with what Ms. Veena was talking about. Because, see, when the teacher goes to the classroom, definitely there are certain ergonomics which we have to see, like how it works. But nowadays, since it is data driven now, so things have changed. So let me tell you, I can very proudly say that our educators, our teachers have really made it happen. That, like pandemic or no pandemic, education will happen and it is going on. So how is it possible? The data only, right? So
Right.
how we have used this data? Let me tell you, it's very important for a teacher. if I am a teacher teaching you, right? So how do I know whether my student has understood or not? So it's very, very important to evaluate. When it comes to evaluation, again, data has to be there. So we have, like at Ryan's, let me tell you that we have our own OS, right? So wherein it comes loaded with all those tools, wherein teacher has the data handy. Okay, this is my topic, this is my subtopic, and now let me see whether they have understood or not, and it's a poll. So students, they love it. They love it, and teacher gets the data. And on the basis of that data only, she moves ahead. Otherwise, she will restructure her lesson plan, and definitely, which will help in educational growth and the quality. You understand how would it be? Each and every child who's on board would be able to understand, and that helps. Even those Himanshu who used to be the backbenchers, right? They are also a part of it now. So they are the front benchers. So there is no demarcation. We have tried to at least bring everyone to the same level through this data. So classrooms, data driven, excellent. That's what
I would also like to add, it is this data which helps the teacher to know that which topic in a particular subject would require what type of teaching pedagogy.
Right.
Right? There would be a total change of classroom style. If I need to have a collaborative learning, if I need to have think, pair, share strategy followed, or I need to have teamwork, peer teaching, so many things. There is the teacher has to move from one group to another. So today it's the time when teacher is no longer sage on the stage, but a guide by the side. So it is only data which has allowed us to know what what percentage of my student requires handling in a particular style and what percentage requires to be handled differently. So the idea is to create maximum learning output, and for that a conducive learning environment is going to be data driven.
Very beautifully pointed out by Veena ma'am. So ma'am, if I am not incorrect, then can we say that data enables us to somewhat customize education based on certain individual students?
Correct. Yes, Manshu, absolutely. Because if student A has a different learning style, maybe when we have that data in hand, this particular topic, okay, this was my topic, and this is my subtopic. This subtopic was not well received, so that means I need to change the pedagogy, as Veena has also said. So teacher changes that pedagogy, and we sometimes we introduce peer learning, like this one, flip learning, right? Flip classrooms. That works. So all these things are data driven. We see this particular topic needs to be taught again. So I will have another pedagogy so that the learning outcome is achieved. Right. So that is how data is really really helping us.
Let me add another thing. In earlier times, the entire result analysis of only board classes was done. What makes it work and what doesn't. So how much, what does one do to get 100%ers or above 90%ers? But now the data analysis is done for right across the school, right? So the idea is to make the capitalize on the brains which are there and to enhance maximum from those. So data definitely helps.
Yes.
Right. Right. So data definitely helps. That's an absolutely. But ma'am, uh, my question, my next thought line of thought would be like data helps, but then how how accurate are we in reading that data and in analyzing that data? How do you ensure that, Veena ma'am?
Himanshu, here I would like to add it's a very important skill set. Data mining is a skill set which, of course, is to be learned, to be adopted, and it's a Herculean task for the school leaders to train their teachers to analyze the data. We do take help from outside resources as well for that. But by and by, I think over the years, I think we've trained our teachers well. They're now well into it.
Wonderful. And just like how they were forced to learn Zoom classes and online
Exactly,
classes.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
of course, I guess pandemic could have, like the way pandemic has entrusted technology upon education sector, it has brought a paradigm shift, and it is becoming a revolution of its sorts. Nisha ma'am, what about you? How do you tackle the situation of data mining or maybe data analysis and stuff like that?
Well, Himanshu, we are like I would say we at Reliance are blessed because our management is going one step ahead every time. So we have our own OS as I shared with you. So we get all the reports there. Isn't it amazing? So for everything, there is a bar graph showing okay, this is the level of understanding for this particular topic, and we have our review meetings every fortnight. So
Wow.
that makes it really, really very easy for my teachers. They are all trained to read it, and then when that data comes in front, so even like right from the attendance to their assessment, everything is on the bar graph. So you know that this class is doing so well, this class is not so doing so well. So sometimes we collaborate, right? Maybe one topic, the teachers also sit together, they brainstorm. Okay, my class did not understand this particular, so they just match the bar graph, right? So you come to know section A has done well in this particular topic. Maybe if you're talking about carbon compounds, so nomenclature here they have done well, and section B has done somewhere else, right? So that collaboration, wherein yes, technology is there, but at the same time, teachers are also doing their bit, and they exchange ideas,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that professional development is happening, and such classes they are doing it in school also, right? Which method did you use so that your students could understand that? So I would say phenomenal growth of the teachers is also happening along with that. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
yeah,
can understand Ryan's system.
yeah.
If in case, let me also throw it out there that since we are talking about tech and I am from Entab, so we also provide analysis and assessment reports to somewhere around 14 to 15 reports on a particular child, wherein not only his academic, but we also have provisions wherein behavior pattern of the student can also be understood. So
That's
nowadays
great.
it's yeah nowadays it's all about data, if I presume. uh,
Yes.
so moving forward, ma'ams, as an educator and basically as a leader, how do you enable your tech or maybe use your tech to help students to acquire knowledge that is not just for textbook oriented information but to prepare them for all round achievements?
Himanshu,
Yes, ma'am.
use of technology was being used earlier also in school like ours, I think, quite aggressively. And it has assumed a gigantic proportion during this lockdown period. And things which were happening physically have been now very easily transformed into virtual exchange. For example, if I were to give you that, of course, we were having international exchange programs, etc., and now it is going on virtually. So there is virtual brainstorming. Today I am doing some programs, say face-to-face program, and I am sitting here and brainstorming with students from Sri Lanka. So it is technology which is making it happen. Today, students are like Nisha said, at my school we have a Moodle platform. So it is the Moodle we are using to put our lesson plans on Moodle, to take our assessments on Moodle, to take the analysis of the students on Moodle, our quizzing, our internal assessment, name a thing which we don't do. We put audios and videos on Moodle. The child has uh, written something, and the child wants to speak it out and record it and put it on Moodle. So I think technology has been really a very, very powerful in enhancing the learning, so much so that we feel that when schools actually were to reopen, the blended learning is here to stay
Right.
because digital platform does not see the time frame. So it doesn't end between 8 to 2. We can go beyond that.
And also,
So
ma'am,
yeah.
so sorry to barge in between. And also, ma'am, being in Delhi, it also doesn't see the environment and the pollution as well.
Absolutely. I would say the PTMs which we've been having, I mean, parents are so happy. Earlier, we used to do our level best to control the traffic and do everything. I mean, so many cars standing next to
Yeah,
the
I
school
know.
and how to handle it. But I think parents are comfortable. They know that it is the PTM time. This is the slot given to me. And they've also understood that they have to come very firmly and talk to the teacher. Teacher can use a presentation to showcase their child's performance vis-a-vis the other class students. So they are also very happy. So with the use of technology. In fact, I had a meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening with my parents of 12th standard when the schools were to reopen, and the parents said, "Ma'am, this is so interesting. You've done everything online, and why do we have to have an offline paper?" So, I mean, the comfort level which the digital platform gives, yes, it is there. But of course, at the same time, we know that human touch is very important, that
Right.
emotional bonding and the building of resilience only can happen in presence of teacher physically
Absolutely.
present.
Absolutely. Nisha, ma'am,
Yeah.
okay, when it comes to acceptance of technology, then I can vouch for APJ school because when I was growing up, I'm from Goenka and I'm in Delhi as well. I'm a breed of Goenka. But I remember APJ Sheikh Sarai used to have this hackathon back in 2005 2006, I remember.
We still have it.
Yeah. And the best part of that, APJ was the only school, uh, and this is, I don't know, should I say this or not, but I remember this. APJ was the only school which promoted gamification at that point of time. APJ was the school which said, you play games, strategy games, and everything, and it will help develop your mindset and stuff. And then we were taught Linux coding that in the amphitheater of the not amphitheater in the theater of the school. I remember that APJ Shikshara. I had it went on for a week or so, and it was one of the best as a school child. एंड हमारी उम्र पे मैम इतना कुछ होता भी नहीं था टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट सो निशा मैम व्हाट अबाउट Ryan? How is the acceptance of technology in the classroom space?
Well, yes, Himanshu. So it's nice to hear from like about APJ. That's really great. And I would like to say very proudly that Ryan has already introduced coder program. Right? We have our own coder program, which it starts from class one to class 12, and we've got a overwhelming response from the parents, and all of them have joined it. And what MEP is talking about now, so our mentors could think of it 40 years ago. That is how you can see the number of schools we have 140 around the world. So that is how the growth has happened because they have been walking beyond times. They've been thinking 10 years ahead of it. So Coder program is very well accepted. And let me tell you, like as Veena ma'am was also saying, that she had a meeting, same thing like with me also. When we floated this date sheet of offline examination, so definitely response was really lukewarm. So immediately I felt so empowered that I could talk to each and every student of mine. Otherwise,
Hmm.
it's never possible. Had it been, physical schools, so wouldn't have been so possible so quickly. So within no time, I just organized one Zoom meeting with my students, one on one. I had a word with them, and voila, I could see that response was really, really, really encouraging. So that is how I would say that technology is really very, very supportive. It's very good. Of course, it is a double-edged sword. You should know how to use it. You should you should be a master of it, but we should not be a slave of it
Right.
because that is what is happening with children, right? Like what happens now. Initially, because we are handling Alpha and Z generation. So they are suffering from this short attention span because they are born with the smartphones, tablets, so they cannot concentrate on any topic for more than 3 minutes. Right? So teachers used to struggle a lot, like before this pandemic happened. But now, after these teachers who are everybody has become tech savvy, so they know how to handle this Alpha and Z generation all the more because you need to engage them through technology only, right? If I'm teaching math, suppose, so I can see the children are, getting bored now. It's been 2 3 minutes. Let me float something. So I'll use Kahoot. So children are very much interested in these things without realizing that my teacher is evaluating, right? And they are part of it. So this is how we are using technology to make our lessons very interesting and at the same time very effective also, so that we are not giving them this knowledge just for the sake of examination, but this pedagogy is helping them to learn this knowledge forever, which is going to give them a different skill set because different types of projects are also being given, which would again use technology. I mean, children will use technology. Maybe it is a survey. It's a project based. Like if I talk about commerce students, they give them this case studies, right? So they will go extra mile to do complete that and use technology to give their presentation in G6 groups, right? So we are using technology to give them that skill set, which is going to help them, throughout their life.
Wonderful. And Veena ma'am, Nisha ma'am said that technology will empower the students and everything.
Yeah.
But how much is too much?
Yes.
Because I was looking, and what I mean by that is, I'll clear it. I'll try to clear it out because I was seeing an example of a school in China, and to be honest, I found it a bit more, intrusive. I'll be very honest because that they had systems in place wherein, in real time basis, they could do the facial analysis of the behavior pattern of student, whether the student is interested in the lecture, or maybe he's happy, maybe he's depressed. But don't you think so? That's too much intrusive.
It is. It is, I think, but just like a mother always knows with a child what are the thoughts going in the mind of her child. I think the teacher student bond is such that teacher would know it, whether there is facial analysis or not.
No. Yeah.
Teachers know their children very well, and I let me tell you that is also data driven. When the child goes to the next class, it is the teacher reaches out to the teacher who has taught the child before and has the data from the teacher that okay, what are the fortes, what are the
You do
strengths of the
that?
child, what are the weaknesses of the child, how the child behaved in the year, what are the things that she has to work on, and what are the things that can be leveraged to a next level. So all that is done
Wait,
without
wait,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait. This is a news to me. So you're telling me that my previous class teacher used to,
Yes, yes, right,
Yes,
you guys
right.
yes,
do, I did
yes,
not.
yes,
Okay. So
yes,
that's why my teacher, because I have been, so when Veena ma'am said, and when Nisha ma'am also, you mentioned that now everybody from your school. However, it was not possible earlier. But that's what I wanted to point out, but I didn't. That earlier, principal ma'ams only knew either the brightest of the students or the naughtiest
Not
of the
you.
students.
True.
So I fell in the latter category for sure. But then again, I didn't know that even the class teachers used to knows about the students that are coming.
yes, yes,
Oh, okay,
definitely.
okay. So that's very insightful. I gained something new as well. All
So
right,
it has to be a growth curve from right from 3 years to 17 years, no,
right.
Himanshu?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. All right. So moving forward, how, ma'am? Let's say that your teachers have now learned how to analyze the data and everything. But then, what do you do from those findings? And of course, one thing is to be your pedagogy, your pedagogical approach towards it. Do you also plan your lessons in for every academic session, or maybe for every week, or customized it?
Definitely. Lesson plans are very thoughtfully made. I think that is the main thing which my teachers, all teachers, would be concentrating on. And having the data to themselves, we know we have high achievers, we have uh, underachievers, how we have to work with them, how we need to take curative classes and elevated classes with them, or there are some God gifted, say, in science or maths. Let's take them to a next level. What are the type of brain buzz activities we need to do with them? So all this is managed by data. Everything is managed by data, and even the regular class lesson plans are very, very carefully made, planned with the teacher, by the teacher, with in cognizance with, in sync with the other subjects also, because today is the time when we are following the multidisciplinary approach. So,
Hmm.
okay, how one has to take it. For example, if I'm a chemistry teacher, by the way, Nisha, I think you are too, because you mentioned about carbon and compounds. So,
Yeah, one chapter
I,
which I didn't like at all.
so when I was a teacher, and I used to be teaching my 11th and 12th, I would say, okay, this portion in states of matter is being dealt by my physics teacher in this manner. I will take this part of it, or the structure of atom. Okay, Bohr's model, I am doing till this, and the physics teacher is doing the derivation of the equation. So it has to be very, very carefully planned. The biology teacher would take what aspect of biotechnology, I would be doing what. So it's been from years it has been done, and now it has become, with the tools available, with IT, invasion of IT, I think we've become more and more acing the power of technology into making wonderful lesson plans and giving so much to our children.
So basically, a proper systematic approach, and
Yes.
I'm sure it must be a labor intensive job and labor intensive job to create lessons. I didn't know so much effort went into it. So hats off to you guys. All right, Nisha ma'am,
Yeah.
would you agree that utilizing and reading and analyzing the data, it's a constant process, and which ultimately leads to improving the quality of education?
Yes. Well, Himanshu, yeah, definitely, absolutely, I believe in that only, because that is the very purpose of using this data, right? It can, you see any institution, we're talking about only education, wherever, there is always a scope for improvement,
Mhm.
right? If you have 90% with you can make that child reach 100% also, right? So that gap is always there, and technology and this data helps us to fill that gap, right? So if this analysis is done at the correct time, so you can fix the gap. Since
Right.
like we've been doing it, class to class. So what happens when the teacher is teaching one topic and subtopic? So she does not move with those gaps ahead. She knows that this topic needs to be done again, right? So here comes the usage of data to improve the quality of learning, right? So no child in that class will be left, in the dark. If child has not understood, teacher knows, she already has the data, so she will explain it to the class. And definitely when we go to the next class, as Veena ma'am was saying, that when the next class teacher takes the data from the previous class teacher, which was a manual method like every teacher does, to have a better start, it's always better. So here what happens when this teacher goes from lesson 1 to lesson 2, right? So definitely, since our approach to teaching is integrated. We are not teaching any subject in isolation, right?
Right.
So if we are teaching maths, we are teaching art as well, we are teaching science as well. So one topic of math can be having all those subjects in it, right? So a good teacher plans a lesson in a manner so that the child is having that all-round development. It's not only math, because math is not everyone's cup of tea. So when you add the subject of his interest to that particular subject. So what will happen? Oh, right. So there is, I'm talking about maybe cylinder or cones, and teacher is talking about, all those castles. So child is interested in art. That is why this, now NEP says that art integration is a must.
Right,
So
right, right, right,
that is,
right.
that is how we are working on the all-round development of the children, right? So that's what I want to say, that we are using data to improve the quality of education every day, day to day. When I'm teaching, my next class, I'm going, so I'm recapitulating. There also, I've got the data. How many are answering correct? Right? There also we have, now we are getting more chances to improvise. Day to day, we are able to make them internalize their, knowledge so that they are ready for the battle of life.
Wonderful. Taking cue from that, Veena ma'am, Nisha ma'am pointed out that how they are approaching this data-driven, outcomes and everything. However, I've been talking to several educators for over the weeks now, and I often heard, or most of them mentioned that they have now modified their content in terms of inviting and inculcating the entire family so that it becomes interactive for students as well. And that's what I guess art integration and everything would be about as well.
Yeah.
Just earlier than this, prior to this webinar, I had a webinar with DPS, Vatsal ma'am, and she said that one of the things they did to amalgamate history and culture and everything was that the grandparents will take interview of no, the granddaughters and grandsons will take interview of grandparents, and then they'll talk about history and everything. So they made a very beautiful video and everything. So do you have, both of you, starting from Veena ma'am, have you also modified your content, and was it data driven modification, or was it just because you felt like?
No, no, we've also done it like example. I mean, going ahead with the example you said, the interview between grandparents and grandchildren is okay, it's fine. History lessons we've done with virtual tours. I mean,
Hmm.
I myself have discussed and shared with my friends that when I went to Italy, to Rome, and I saw the historic sites, and I heard on audio the Renaissance and the Reformation movement, all about it. And I said, oh God, I should have, I would have really loved it when I was in class 9 and I was studying that. So, but today it is possible by way of technology to give them a virtual tour there, and
Hmm.
more so, like ma'am said, flipped classroom. So you give the links to the children, they come ready, they read and they see, and they come and they're ready to brainstorm about it. So it's been a great leap, it's been a great use of technology, and it has helped us to improve the learning outcomes so many times. So I think it's been a wonderful thing, and all schools, all teachers are at it, and it's very amazing that teachers today are not saying that we are not going to do it. They come out with their own set of, they discover a particular tool and they are ready to, ma'am, can we do it? This is what we like. Can we do it?
Right,
If I
right.
teach graphs in maths using this, the result is so much better. I have seen the data of a school in UK. They're using this. And I have realized that if we can use it, I have studied and I'm also enrolled in a MOOC course. And can I not use it? I've learned this much and I would like to use it in the class. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Wonderful, wonderful. That proactive approach is absolutely amazing. Nisha ma'am, what about you?
Well, Himanshu, it's just the same thing because we are all educators, and definitely we are evolving every day,
Right,
right?
right.
And there is an ocean now. If you talk about technology, so it's like, you just have a drop in the ocean. So many things to explore. Actually, it is, you were saying how much is too much. And so it is for teachers also. some of them are so enthusiastic, so they want to use so many, too many tools together. So when they discuss with us, so we tell the HODs, okay, you discuss and see what is the most beneficial thing which would be, used there. Because it's not like, if you have want to make a drink, so you add 10 tablespoons of sugar into it. So it has to be in the right balance, right? So the chemistry has to be right. Yes, Veena ma'am, I think
Yes,
you know,
absolutely. Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
very, very important that everything should be in the best proportion, right?
As Rumi said, excess of everything is poison.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is possible. So it has
absolutely.
to be blended learning in future as well. Right now, of course, this is the need of the hour that we were to use only the technology. But yes, physical rooms cannot be replaced, and so is the technology. So it'll go hand in hand. So
Ma'am,
that is
see,
normal.
at Entab also we always say that, you know what, the role of the teachers, the role of the educators can never be replaced. A
Yes.
mentor's role will never, it has a value of its own, and this I can also personally vouch for. A mentor is like that lighthouse which will guide you towards your destination, and technology is just a tool, or maybe just just a boat to reach to the end, to
Yes.
your destination. That's the only role of technology. All right, very quickly, now that we're coming to the end of the webinar, my last one thing which I would like to know from the both of you is, do you still think that there is a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of scope in technology, how we can inculcate it, but still it is just limited to the cities. So how do you envision the future of education? Like, will it be accessible all across India, or will be limited to pockets, ma'am?
I beg to differ, Himanshu, here that technology is only limited to the metropolitan and some urban areas, because who would have thought that the house help coming is so well versed in using a smartphone,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah,
And
even I
her
wasn't.
kids are attending online lessons, right? And they know how to do it. And you
Ma'am, but that house help is also living in Delhi.
No, even across, even you go in the interiors also, you see everybody has a smartphone in their hands. Yes,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
are using technology, they are learning, they're self learners. They may not have good institutions or schools of that standard, but that quest of learning is there. So, and they are self
Hmm.
learners, and they themselves are evolving, they themselves are learning, and they're teaching each other. So I think it's a great thing. So we do, I think, should not undermine the population living in the interiors with or without schools. They may take a little more time vis-a-vis the others, but
Hmm.
they would also do it with less negative effects, which the cities might have,
Right.
because they are so much there's so much information for our children that it is very easy to get distracted. For those people, they're learning. So it's always something to do, something good to do. So I don't think we need to undermine. And of course, the educationists, the activists, and all are doing so much, and they are reaching out to far off places. I think we as educators and school heads, I'm sure Nisha also did it. We did virtual school inspections this time
Yes, yes.
by the CBSE.
Yeah.
And I mean, we inspected schools in the interiors of Madhya Pradesh and Haldwani and Uttaranchal and all those places which we'd not even heard. I mean, I'm just naming the cities, but they were the remote areas with names which we'd not even heard. But you had schools who were doing fantastic job of teaching online, using technology, using data. We happen to interview some students and teachers also. So it's just a myth that it is only in the cities. They are doing a fine job of it too.
Well, that's actually true, because that immediately reminded me of one particular school. It was Paramjeet Kaur Dhillon, ma'am. I don't remember the name of the school. It's an interior in Punjab. and they're the Microsoft example school. Like
Oh,
they have adopted everything from all the texts and everything, and they're the SDGs and everything, the 17 SDGs, they're following it very beautifully and everything. So, Nisha ma'am, do you concur with the same point of view of Veena ma'am, or do you have something else to say?
well, as she said that we did inspect all these schools pan India. It was like somewhere in Karnataka, somewhere in Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. So technology helped us. But yes, here I beg to differ. That we are talking about those handful people who are blessed to have that much of data, right?
Mm,
There are so many places wherein net connection is not good, right? So I would think that should come from these data companies. They can always start their CSR, right? So their vans can go in those areas and for some time, because I'll tell you, like Ryan Group arranged one exchange program for the teachers with Canada, the best universities of Canada, and we exchanged our views that how online education is there and how like can we also adopt whatever. So I got to know that initially government, what did the government do over there? They sent their vans, right, with people and internet. So they would go to a particular village, the classes would happen online, but the net and everything belonged to the government, right? So that is how they could reach. Like if you see in Delhi, so Delhi schools are really good. I mean, the government schools also. But if you go to interiors, we have seen like somewhere I had to, inspect one school in Manipur. So their internet connection was terrible. So we
right,
had to reschedule it twice. So it was, I mean, it was not all that easy. So
right.
those glitches are there. But yes, definitely we should always be progressive, right?
Mm,
We should always try to see what can be done to improvise. And that is how we have to use the data, right? We should use it for the advantage, and we have to see what are the disadvantages, because technology, I mean, usage of technology when it is unmonitored, it can be devastating.
right,
Children should always be monitored when they are using technology, and especially when we are talking about the children of these helps. So they are the most vulnerable ones. So I would say that whenever they are using technology, it would be a great idea if government can do something. I mean, some kind of CSR from these companies, wherein these mobile vans can go in these areas and they can be taught, and they are monitored also, and they are attending the classes.
wonderful.
That's a wonderful idea,
Yeah,
Nisha.
Thank
and
you.
always be progressive. That's what I'll take from that. So thank
Yeah.
you, Veena ma'am. Thank you, Nisha ma'am,
Thank you. Thank
for
you.
giving me your valuable time. And I'm sure it was during your school hours that you took out time. And thank you so much. Many more accolades to you. आप लोग बीना मैम आपका जो पीछे ट्रॉफी का कैबिनेट है वो और ज्यादा भर जाए एंड निशा मैम आपकी भी जो ट्रॉफीज पड़ी हुई हैं वो भी और ज्यादा भर जाए सो
So nice of you, Himanshu.
so many more accolades to you, and it was lovely talking to you. I again didn't tend to. I told you I will not stick to the script, so my apologies if I did something.
It was a
No,
pleasure.
it was a pleasure. It was very interesting. Thank you,
Thank
Himanshu,
you
for
so
being
much,
a
Veena ma'am.
wonderful host.
Thank you
Yes, yes.
so much, Veena ma'am. Thank you so much, Nisha ma'am. Have
Thank
a nice day. Good afternoon. Stay safe.
you.
Stay healthy.
Bye bye. Thank
Bye.
you, Veena.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.